And thank you for taking the time to review my organizational behavior evaluation of the Hotel Starlac. My name is Doug Rybczynski, doing this for the Valor MBA course of study. Here's my government issue photo ID for review, and we'll get right into it. So the Hotel Starlac, it's appropriately sized according to Muse for a five-star hotel, bringing in a mix of that larger corporate upper management with the administration, a chief marketing officer, a chief financial officer, a couple of primary owners, into a typical hotel layout, which is going to have rooms and then food and beverage divisions within the actual organization itself. But the Hotel Starlight goes one step farther and makes a cultural delineation, and that black dashed line also kind of splits administration into two pieces, which we'll talk about a little bit from here. It is from a very functional standpoint, also unclear how this business structure is going to fit into the new business unit, which is a more laid back, more casual dining facility, as well as 50 more rooms. So, a little bit of growth that we're going to talk about with the Hotel Starlac as well. So, where the cultural issues begin to pop up. They're an enclave group of employees which are long-standing with the company, along with the company's management, that's not really acknowledging the problems that have arisen throughout the hotel's culture and then subsequently the hotel's business performance. In this case, Carla is a great example of having a large power distance through both referent and expert power, having a long-standing career in this industry, along with Stefan, but doesn't truly lead the organization, and that manifests through a couple of different means. So in this case, in the red box there, you can see one side of the ownership, and this is Carla doesn't acknowledge that the lowest levels of the company, with an appropriate level of esteem, making comments about millennial workers being more of a gig economy style of worker where they don't have this long-standing time with the company and they don't wish to. In Stefan's case, he just wishes to retire. He has his eyes on larger sort of greener pastures. In this case, that black box down low management is that old guard of the Hotel Starlac, and are getting in the way of company growth. And we'll look at that with the CRM software package that was not adequately implemented. And then from there, you can see the feedback loop that's not being appropriately set up between the working class of the organization and then ownership. That hasn't been established appropriately, happening both through haphazard conversations or a TM, a talent management sort of review process that is voluntary on the part of the actual working individual. So we were able to read a few paragraphs on Isabel, and a bar employee who only lasted at the company for about 2 months. So in this case, she makes some references to a conversation with a room attendant and then the bar manager themselves, the hiring process, and then what the actual job entailed when she got into the organization. And it brought to light some very interesting cultural and programmatic issues at the hotel. So in this case, workload or expected job roles, there's role ambiguity for each individual. And that was what the room attendant brought to light to her, that this role ambiguity is actually not an atypical thing for an employee to go through at the hotel. Feedback loops to ownership doesn't matter in this case. They were too afraid of their next manager, their direct report, to even bring up the problems. And there are no anonymous means of doing that, of having a feedback loop back to upper management. In this case, the hiring process was not accurate. It did not describe what Isabel actually was doing. And in this case, that disorganization and the different things that she was asked to do, really told to do, absolutely indicates that there is this role ambiguity, but also a lack of organization and a lack of focus on the individual employee within the culture and then growing them, that is missing from the hotel. In this case, there was a conversation after a chief marketing officer that only lasted 6 months about new clientele, talking about the customer management program, that CRM program, like the last bullet point as well, talking about the fact that middle management and ownership were unaware of the true situation, and that the CRM program was not actually being implemented appropriately. There's one last piece culturally that I think is important. Isabel uses this word, the Starlacian, and so this is what the hotel calls individuals, or it calls their employees. But the way that she utilized it in the actual report was pretty clear that there was a bit of a split. There was a distinction between what seemed like an inner and an outer circle of employees. And I think that that shows, it indicates a split within the hotel's staff culturally that's leading in a lot of ways to its downfall. So in this case, the performance review and bonus structure. seems like a very positive laissez-faire way of going about things. However, it does not follow the standard talent management ideologies that we need to utilize to keep good, measurable outcomes, proper feedback loops, and then performance-based bonus structures and proper incentivization plans for the employee. So in this case, that reward power is what's going to then start to build in this case, which is not a healthy form of power in the way that is being manifested here at the hotel through this talent management feedback loop. In this case, performance reviews were not mandatory. It was only if the employee wished to have a conversation about it, and these bonuses would come down maybe not so evenly because or not quantifiably, because in reality, from as was seen from the Isabel component of the report itself, there were no honest feedbacks or feedback items provided to upper management, and that means that there were not measurable outcomes that were being compared against as to whether or not the bonus structure was being appropriately put together. Cool. In this case now, the performance of the business itself, less on the cultural, now more on the just pure business side. So you have a customer relation management program, you have globalization and market conditions and workforce changes, all of which are hurting the Hotel Starlac because of the way they're being managed. In this case, middle management and the customer relation management program is not properly implementing the program itself, using it to its absolute minimum. And additionally, the program or the hotel is requiring each individual employee to cross train one another, really relying solely upon that one individual employee's desire to know and then actually implement the process well. Although many have voiced, or at least one has voiced, an opinion that they know better, they know their customers better than to have to use a automated or electronically based customer relation management program. So in the dash boxes on this slide, you'll see fixes that will allow the company to then grow. So in this case, properly implementing that customer relation management program is something that'll help dramatically. Globalization and market conditions. In this case, the market is changing and the existing customers are starting to dwindle at the hotel. And so this means that some sort of pivot or some sort of change is absolutely going to be necessary. If you follow that down, until that core business is healed, this happy cow expansion must be held back. Workforce changes. Viewpoint of millennial employees has to be changed, acknowledging that the Starlac is the problem with retention, not the individual employees. And all of this is now leading to decreased revenue. So fixing each of these three components leading to the way that the hotel is being managed is going to increase revenue stream, create a healthy organizational culture, define and healthy talent management. Finally, we have Whitestone. This is a consulting company that has been approached by Stefan to his friend Benjamin to see what is a possible outcome for Whitestone and the Hotel Starlac to move forward together, possibly being able to tidy up some of these problems that the hotel is having. So there's some decision-making considerations we need to have in the upper left corner here. In this case, Carla and Stefan are not aligned with their long-term goals. Carla wants to see the hotel do great things for the area. Stefan would like to go and see the world. In this case, the culture is suffering internally and requires an overhaul of management styles. There are multiple positive outcomes from Whitestone's involvement. So in this case, I think we have two solid options in front of us, depending upon how Carla and Stefan wish to proceed. In this case, option one, Whitestone gets involved, assists in growing the organization and making it a healthier place to work, and then gradually that sale will then be finalized. Carla and Stefan can then move on and retire. In this case, the cultural changes, though, and their organization's leadership styles are going to have to change. Legacy employees are going to have to be open to that change, along with ownership. So there is a required growth period, but Whitestone provides, I believe, the type of fixes that the organization needs to become healthy and profitable again. Or option two, in this case, an immediate Whitestone sale. Take the organization, sell it to the larger organization, and allow it to then grow and heal the culture, grow the business, and turn it back into a profitable venture, allowing Carla and Stefan to then move forward with themselves, move forward with their lives. The hotel may or may not exist in its current state, if not altogether. However, I believe that the cultural changes and the employees within the organization will benefit from having Whitestone involved. Here are my references. Thank you for your time.